Autumn dance. It was an unusually warm October afternoon, the sunlight streaming through the amber and crimson leaves, casting a golden glow over the city of Maplewood. Hawthorne Park, with its sprawling trees and vibrant foliage, provided the perfect backdrop for two souls seeking refuge from the chaos of their lives. Among the laughter of children playing and the rustling leaves, a love story quietly began to unfold. Sophie, a 26-year-old graphic designer, had always found solace in the beauty of autumn. As the summer heat faded away, the changing colors ignited a sense of renewal in her heart. This year, however, felt different, for she was determined not to let the season pass her by without embracing the possibility of love. As she strolled through the park, her sketchbook clutched in one hand, she breathed in the earthy scent of fallen leaves, allowing her creativity to flow like the creek nearby. On this particular day, as she sat on a weathered bench, the world around her began to blur into the background. Sophie became engrossed in her sketches of swirling leaves and whimsical pumpkins when she felt a presence beside her. She looked up to see a tall figure with tousled dark hair and an easy smile, the warmth of his gaze instantly captivating her. "Is this seat taken?" he asked in a rich voice, a hint of playful charm suggesting he was used to making friends effortlessly. "No, please, go ahead," Sophie replied, her heart fluttering at his approach. "I'm Daniel," he said, offering a hand that Sophie shook, feeling an electric spark pass between them. "I'm Sophie." She allowed herself a small smile, feeling unexpectedly shy yet intrigued. As the two began to chat, they immediately discovered a connection that felt both thrilling and comfortable. Daniel was an aspiring musician who spent his afternoons composing melodies inspired by the world around him. Sophie learned how he had just moved to Maplewood, encouraged by his friends to chase his dream of performing in local cafes and bars. His passion was palpable, making her smile widen with each story he shared. The sun hung low in the sky as their conversation flowed effortlessly, punctuated by laughter and shared stories of their lives. One moment, Daniel playfully teased Sophie about her penchant for drawing whimsical creatures, and the next, he opened up about his struggles to find his place in the world, navigating the challenges of adulthood while following his dreams. "I guess we're both trying to find our rhythm in this crazy dance called life," Daniel mused, his eyes shimmering with sincerity. "I think that's a lovely way to put it," Sophie responded, feeling a wave of understanding wash over her. As the afternoon slipped into early evening, Sophie and Daniel reluctantly decided it was time to part ways, the chill in the air reminding them of the season's encroaching grip. They exchanged numbers, both bubbling with excitement at the prospect of seeing each other again. The following weekend, the two met for coffee at a quaint cafe nestled in the heart of Maplewood. Their shared joy was infectious, and as they sipped their warm drinks, Sophie felt a growing sense of possibility blossom between them. They explored the local art fair together, surrounded by vibrant stalls filled with handmade crafts and artwork, the artistic energy around them amplifying the spark of their nascent romance. As weeks passed, autumn deepened, and Sophie and Daniel's bond only intensified. They strolled through colorful fall festivals, danced among the bright leaves, and shared countless evenings under the starlit sky. One crisp evening, they ventured into the woods to watch the sunset, wrapped in each other's warmth, watching as the colors transformed the horizon. "I can't remember a time when I felt so alive," Daniel said softly, his voice barely above a whisper as he brushed his fingers against Sophie's. Sophie's heart swelled with affection. "Me neither. I feel like we're in the perfect moment, you know? Like everything just clicks." He nodded, his gaze locked on hers, and in that shared silence, they both sensed the world around them fading away. It was a moment suspended in time, one that felt monumental and fleeting all at once. As the vibrant leaves began to fall, so too did the barriers they had both carefully constructed to protect their hearts. Sophie led Daniel to the edge of a serene lake one night, where the silvery moon reflected upon the water, casting a glow across their faces. Heart pounding, she took his hand and led him closer, their fingers intertwined like a beautifully sculpted piece of art. "Daniel," she couldn't find the words as vulnerability washed over her. But he simply smiled, as if he understood everything she wanted to say. "Sophie, I feel something really special between us," he confessed, his voice warm and steady. "I want to explore this, whatever this is." With a shared smile and a gentle nod, they leaned closer. Their lips met softly, igniting a spark that sent ripples as the world around seemed to dissolve into nothingness. The kiss started tenderly, like the first gentle brush of autumn winds against bare skin. Daniel's lips were warm and inviting, coaxing Sophie into a warmth she had longed for since the day they met. In that moment, time itself slowed. Sophie felt her heart race, a thrilling mix of excitement and nervousness enveloping her as she melted into his embrace. Daniel cupped her face with one hand, his thumb caressing her cheek with an unhurried gentleness that felt both romantic and electric all at once. The softness of his lips against hers ignited a fire that burned through her. For a fleeting second, everything else ceased to exist, the cool air, the rustling leaves, the whisper of the lake. It was just the two of them, entwined in their shared breath and burgeoning love. Sophie felt herself leaning into him, her palms pressing against his chest, feeling the steady rhythm of his heartbeat as it thrummed against her fingertips. She noticed how, despite the chill of the evening, she felt warm and completely enveloped by the heat of the moment. As they kissed deeper, it became a dance of exploration, a silent exchange of promises and unspoken feelings. Her heart sang as their mouths moved perfectly together, each gentle pressure an invitation that encouraged more intimacy. She felt Daniel's hand slide to the small of her back, pulling her closer, grounding her as if to ensure that she knew this embrace was real, that he was there with her, as present as the stars that flickered above. Sophie sighed softly into the kiss, a sound that seemed to convey all the emotions she had bottled up, joy, relief, and the kind of hope that made her believe in magic again. Daniel responded by deepening the kiss ever so slightly, creating an unspoken rhythm between them that spoke of desire and longing, yet also of tenderness and care. The taste of him lingered on her lips, a blend of warmth and sweetness reminiscent of the caramel apple they had shared earlier that evening. It sent her senses into overdrive, igniting her mind with thoughts of all the moments they had shared and all the possibilities that the future might hold. The kiss felt like an affirmation, a beautiful confirmation of what they felt for each other without the necessity of words. Finally, as the kiss broke, they lingered just a breath apart, foreheads pressed together, both panting slightly from the intensity of the moment. Sophie looked up into Daniel's eyes, which sparkled with wonder and mischief, an emotional whirlwind reflected in their depths. "I guess this makes it official," Daniel said, his voice low and playful, breaking the spell with a smile that made her heart flutter. "Officially what?" she teased, unable to hide her grin, the afterglow of their kiss making everything feel lighter and brighter. "Officially a couple," he grinned, his expression radiating pure joy. "And officially in love with autumn." "Definitely in love with it," Sophie replied, matching his enthusiasm, yet unable to suppress the fluttering in her heart. "Especially when it looks like this." Underneath the moonlit sky, surrounded by the painting of colors the season had bestowed upon the world, Sophie realized the significance of that kiss. It was more than just a simple expression of affection, it marked the beginning of an adventure that neither of them saw coming. They spent the rest of that evening wrapped up in each other's warmth, their hands still intertwined, feeling the soft caress of the autumn breeze. As they walked back towards the park entrance, the crunch of leaves under their feet became the soundtrack to their newfound bond, each step echoing promises of shared tomorrows filled with laughter, art, music, and an ever-deepening love. Days turned into weeks, and the season shifted, painting the world in shades of gold and brown. Yet, amidst the changes in nature, one thing remained constant, the burgeoning love between Sophie and Daniel. Their connection deepened with every laugh, every shared secret, and every kiss that ignited their passion anew. Sophie often found herself thinking back to that magical evening by the lake, a turning point in her life. With Daniel by her side, she felt compelled to embrace every moment fully, to capture it through her art in a way that honored the beauty of their journey together. Each brushstroke felt more powerful, more alive, infused with the energy of their love and the creative inspiration Daniel encouraged in her. One cool evening as they painted together in the park, Sophie looked up from her canvas and caught Daniel's gaze, her heart swelling once again. These small moments, she realized, were the true treasures, where love danced in the golden glow of autumn's embrace, and laughter filled the cool air surrounding them. "Let's not wait until next autumn to dance like this again," Daniel said playfully, interrupting her reverie, holding out his hand to her as if inviting her to join him in another joyous twirl through the falling leaves. Sophie laughed at his invitation, her heart fluttering with excitement. "And how exactly do you propose we dance?" she teased, raising an eyebrow playfully. "Like this." Daniel announced as he took a step back, dramatically sweeping his arm out as if inviting an audience to witness a grand performance. With a grin, he twirled around, making a playful display of exaggerated dance moves that sent a shower of leaves cascading around him. Sophie couldn't help but burst into laughter, her joy bubbling over as she watched him. "Okay, okay. You win," she said, rising from her seat and joining him as he extended his hand once more. As she took his hand, he pulled her into the center of their little playground, a clearing kissed by sunlight, surrounded by trees dressed in brilliant autumn colors. They danced without any music, their movements unrestrained, embodying the carefree spirit of the season. A laugh erupted from Sophie's lips as Daniel spun her around, his arms strong yet gentle, encouraging her to let go. With each twirl, she felt her worries dissipate, leaving behind only the exhilaration of living in the moment. When she stepped on his foot by accident, they both fell into a heap of giggles, entangled in each other's arms, surrounded by a vibrant tapestry of fallen leaves. "See? This is what autumn is all about." Daniel beamed, looking down at her with eyes filled with warmth. "It's about living freely, embracing the fleeting moments, and dancing despite the chill." Sophie nodded, her heart swelling with affection and admiration. "You always know how to make everything feel special, don't you?" Daniel lowered his voice, a playful seriousness creeping into his expression. "Only when I'm with the right person." Her breath caught in her throat at the sincerity behind his words, and as if sensing the shift in atmosphere, Daniel leaned closer, tucking a stray hair behind her ear. The electric surge of connection crackled like the autumn leaves they had danced upon. Time seemed to flow like a gentle stream, inviting them to linger, and as their laughter faded into tender silence, Sophie found herself lost in his gaze. In that moment, everything around them fell away: falling leaves, chilly air, the golden afternoon fading into twilight, as if they were encased in a bubble where only they existed. "Shall we?" Daniel whispered, breaking their connection just enough to pull her gently to her feet. With his hand clasped firmly in hers, they took a few unsteady steps, reveling in their shared warmth as they continued their impromptu dance. Underneath the vast expanse of autumn-hued sky, they spun and swayed, laughter mixing with the rustling leaves and the gentle whispers of nature. Eventually, the setting sun cast its golden rays across the horizon, painting it with hues of orange and pink. Daniel paused and pulled them into a slow embrace, standing still for a moment amidst the dance of leaves swirling around them. They reveled in the beauty of the world that surrounded them, the symphony of nature creating a perfect backdrop for their growing love. "Do you ever wonder what love looks like?" Sophie asked softly, her head resting against his shoulder as they swayed in place. "Sometimes," Daniel replied thoughtfully, "but I think it's different for everyone. For me, I think it's like this, spontaneous, joyful, and undeniably real." Sophie smiled at his answer and, feeling bold, she looked up at him. "And what if love were to change as the seasons do? What would it be like then?" Daniel tilted his head, a teasing grin creeping onto his lips. It would probably resemble the playful nature of autumn, then. A beautiful dance that celebrates transformation, all the colors of emotions, blended and harmonized as they fall and rise again. Then let's celebrate it, together, Sophie urged, a sense of urgency weaving through her determination. We will, Daniel assured her, squeezing her hand with confidence. With every step we take, every season we share, we'll celebrate our love. As autumn deepened, they forged ahead, holding on to the promise of adventures yet to come. They explored Maplewood's vibrant landscape, creating new memories, cider tastings, pumpkin carving, and live music in cozy corners of a local cafe. Each moment confirmed what they felt for one another, an unshakable bond blooming in the cooler air. One afternoon, while visiting a local fair, they stumbled upon a quaint booth offering photographs. Inspired by their newfound relationship, Sophie insisted they capture a moment together. They squeezed into a small frame, their faces illuminated by the joy of being together, their smiles bright enough to chase away any autumn chill. As the cool winds embraced them, Daniel held Sophie close, his arm draping neatly around her shoulders, and they grinned widely at the camera. The moment was simple yet monumental, etched into a photograph that would serve as a cherished memory for years to come. Later that evening, they gathered around a bonfire with friends, the warm flicker of flames casting shadows and illuminating their faces. The air was filled with the aroma of toasted marshmallows and spiced apple cider. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the cool night enveloped them, a blanket woven with laughter and companionship. Sophie and Daniel sat close, their fingers intertwined, sharing whispered stories and secrets. Daniel played his guitar, the soft chords weaving through the crisp air, crafting a soundtrack that perfectly complemented the crackling of the fire. Sophie felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude, her heart swelling with affection as she listened to him play. "Can you sing something for me?" she asked, her eyes shining with a hint of mischief. "Only if you sing with me," he teased, a playful glimmer in his eyes. Sophie laughed, knowing she could hardly carry a tune, but the sound of his voice was magnetic, pulling her into the moment. "Okay, I'll try." With that, Daniel began to play a sweet melody, and to her surprise, she found herself joining in, her voice trembling at first before gaining confidence. Together, they sang silly songs, harmonizing beautifully, their laughter mingling with the sounds of crackling wood and the rustle of leaves above. But as the night deepened, a quiet moment fell between them. The laughter faded, and the air shifted, becoming thick with a sense of intimacy. Daniel put down his guitar, leaning closer to Sophie, their knees brushing against each other. "Can I tell you something?" he asked, his voice a soft breath against the cool night air. "Of course," she replied, her heart racing at the seriousness of his tone. "I've never felt so alive, so connected to someone like this before," he confessed, the warmth in his eyes deepening. "The moment we met, it was like everything in my world made sense all of a sudden." Sophie felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes, overwhelmed by his sincerity. "I feel the same way." I didn't know that the little moments could lead to something so profound until you came into my life. Maybe it's the magic of autumn, he suggested with a thoughtful smile. Or maybe it's just us. She leaned closer, searching his eyes as if to dig deeper into his thoughts. No matter what it is, I want to hold on to it. With that, Daniel cupped her cheek, his thumb caressing her skin as he guided her towards him. They shared another kiss, and this one felt different. Not just a rush of affection, but a deep connection forged through shared laughter, whispered dreams, and the solid promise of love. As they finally pulled away, the crackling fire illuminated their faces, revealing the truth of their feelings in each other's eyes. The world around them faded away once more, and in that moment, it felt like autumn held its breath for them, the colors of the leaves swirling and dancing as if celebrating their new bond. Days turned into weeks, and with the approach of November, the vibrant colors of fall began to settle into the peaceful, quiet beauty of winter. Sophie and Daniel's love flourished through the months. They engaged in clipboard drawing classes, prepared holiday decorations, and even crafted a common bucket list filled with dreams and adventures they hoped to share. But with the advent of winter's chilly embrace came the inevitable challenges. Sophie's job demanded more of her time, and Daniel's musical pursuits took him to late-night gigs. As schedules collided and time grew scarce, a faint nagging feeling settled between them, a worry that maybe the promise of autumn was slipping through their fingers. One particularly cold evening, as snow began to dust the ground, Sophie arrived home exhausted from work. She sank onto the couch, staring blankly at the ceiling. Her heart felt heavy, she missed Daniel fiercely, and the nights alone were beginning to take their toll. Just then, her phone buzzed with a text. "Hey, can we talk? I miss you." A warmth blossomed in her chest as she quickly typed back, "Of course. Want to come over?" She didn't have to wait long. Daniel arrived with a steaming cup of hot cocoa that filled the air with warmth. His presence melted the sadness that had been weighing her down. He sat beside her, their knees brushing as he handed her the mug, the love in his eyes reassuring her that everything would be okay. "Sorry I haven't been around as much," he said, his voice filled with concern. "I feel like we're drifting." Sophie nodded, the lump in her throat tightening. "I feel it too. It's just, life got busy so fast. I don't want to lose what we have." Taking her hand, Daniel squeezed it gently. "Me neither."